Welcome to New Zealand's Biggest Gap here, an epic challenge that my partner Laura and I decided to tackle about 3 years ago, something like that. In this challenge, we needed to do 365 activities all around New Zealand in 365 days. And today is day 213, and we are taking one of those big English double-decker bus all around Christchurch to tour the city. Join me at the end of the video when I'm going to go over even more information, and I'm also going to go over all the comments you had the first time we published it. This morning we are leaving the little township of Methven and are making our way to the largest city on the South Island of New Zealand, which is Christchurch. We're having a meetup in the Botanic Garden with the team from Hassle-Free Tours for a double-decker tour of the city. But because we're here early, we gave us plenty of time to check out the beautiful Rose Garden. Christchurch is known as the Garden City of New Zealand. It has tens of gardens scattered all around the city, and it is known for having some of the most beautiful ones of the country. But we'll get back to that a little bit later on this week, where we're gonna give ourselves plenty of time to explore this gorgeous botanic garden. And despite the weather being really rainy, our tour is right on time and we are jumping on with the team of Hassle-Free Tour in their double-decker tour of the whole city of Christchurch.
Whatever the weather, Robin and I are super keen to get on top of this open-top double-decker bus so we can get ideal views all around the inner city of Christchurch. Aside from being the Garden City, Christchurch is also known as being the most English city outside of England, so it only seems appropriate that we are touring around in a big red double-decker bus, just like as if we were in London. Throughout this city tour, we're seeing all the major highlights of Christchurch, from Cathedral Square to the Restart Mall, which is a whole shopping mall made out of shipping containers. However, a tour around Christchurch is a lot different to other city tours around the world. Christchurch had some earthquakes between 2010 and 2011, which really did devastate the city, and you can see scars of that earthquake still evident 7 years later. We see some of Christchurch's heritage buildings absolutely devastated by the earthquakes, but nevertheless there is a lot of new builds here in Christchurch and a lot of examples of how this city has revived. We see one of my favourite streets here, which is New Regent Street, which is full of colour, lots of cafes and a tramway going right through the middle. We also see a lot of street art as well, just to show that this is still an awesome and vibrant city.
In total, we spent over an hour going all around the city centre of Christchurch, stopping at almost every single major landmark, both historical, touristic and even places where the earthquake struck so hard. In my mind, Christchurch is a really underrated city in the mind of most backpackers. Most backpackers think that this is the best place to find work, which is true. There is heaps of work in the area and it's also a pretty cheap city to live in. There's also a lot to do around the town, and this is why we decided to take a tour around the city just to get a bit of an overview of everything there is to do here and be able to plan the best trip ever for this week that we're going to be spending in Christchurch. Our next stop for this tour is in the suburb of Port Hills, and this pretty cool point. It's a hilltop viewpoint called the Sign of the Takahe Lookout. There we can see all the surrounding area, or at least if it was a beautiful weather we could have seen that, but right now we only see clouds, so after taking a couple of pictures we hop back in a bus for our next destination.
Throughout this tour, our guide Ross has been giving us non-stop commentary of everything we're seeing as we are driving through Christchurch. And he's telling us now about the next suburb that we're going to be heading to, which is Sumner Beach. Sumner Beach is not only a famous surf spot here in Christchurch, it's also backed by these awesome volcanic cliffs, and we're going to be exploring more of Sumner Beach as Ross is parking up the double-decker bus and giving us about 15 to 20 minutes to check out the area.
As you can see by the weather, it's clearly not summer in Sumner, but we have time to explore Cave Rock, which is a volcanic cave right on the side of Sumner Beach, and it gives us much welcome shelter from the rain. Rock Cave is pretty cool and pretty fun to explore, but Sumner itself is also an amazing suburb of Christchurch. It's the perfect summer resort where you can get your ice cream, your fish and chips, walk alongside the beach hand in hand with your lover. All those summer activities are done by people living in Christchurch right here in Sumner. And funnily enough, we are not the only one looking for shelter from the rain under this cave. We see also some little native bird. It's really cool to spot some wildlife while doing a city tour of Christchurch. That's quite ironic when sometimes hiking in the most remote forest of the country we can't find anything. We wound up our tour right back in the city centre of Christchurch, and we are now making our way to Juicy Snooze, where we're going to be spending the night. Look how cool that is! I love it! I don't have to talk to a single person to do all of that.
Tomorrow, we are crossing the majestic Southern Alps in one of the 10... Fucking hell. Tomorrow, we're crossing the majestic Southern Alps in one of the world's 10 best... Tomorrow, we're crossing the majestic Southern Tomorrow, we're crossing one of the majestic... Not one of the majestic... Tomorrow, we're crossing the majestic Southern Alps in one of the world's top 10 train journey. Yeah!
Okay. That sentence was unfairly hard to pronounce. Laura is notoriously famous for writing down some super hard sentences to pronounce and then handing them out to me and saying, Robin, go ahead and go with that. So, yeah, I don't think I've ever ended up succeeding in saying this sentence. I should set that up as a challenge for myself. All right, so let's go over some of the comments that we had the first time we published it. So we had a few comments from Why in the World, which is another YouTuber. He lives in Christchurch, so that's probably why he was really interested in that video and why he commented so much. So you may want to check him out. We have Matthew M, which is also joking about that last sentence I was trying to get out, and he says it really looks like you were having a good time trying to get that sentence out. Not really. Southern Mapping says Christchurch is a cool place. It is a really cool place. It's really underrated. A lot of people just see it as a big boring city, but there is a lot to do in and around Christchurch. So I think that it's a place that, and we will explore it a little bit more in the next few videos. And I think that you guys are going to see that it's definitely worth an actual spot on your itinerary. And we also have Anawita that says that her children are in Christchurch and they are around our age. So here you go. Young people do live in Christchurch too. All right, so if you are currently planning a trip to New Zealand, I've got two amazing tools for you to use. First up, it's nzpocketguide.com, 100% free, and you can use that website as New Zealand's largest travel guide to plan pretty much everything you want to do in your trip to New Zealand. So you can go to the trip IDs, for example, which has pre-made itinerary for all style of travel and all length of travel. And you have an itinerary already done, curated by Laura and I, ready to go. You just have to check the boxes of the place that you want to go to. Otherwise, we do have recommendation on accommodations, activities, packing, and everything else. It's literally the Bible of traveling in New Zealand. The other tool that you may want to use is free as well, and it's our NZ Travel Show. Every single week at 8 a.m. on Sunday, New Zealand time, we are hanging out for an hour right here on YouTube, and we answer all your questions about traveling in New Zealand. It's a great place to come and get confirmation about things that you want to do, ideas that you have for your trip to New Zealand, or even ask the most basic questions, and we can get you started into your trip planning. If you feel like rewarding all our hard work, hit like and subscribe. It's a great free way to make sure that, we feel the love, as you know that you're getting a lot of love out of us with over 1,300 videos on the channel already. And if you feel like putting a little bit of money toward supporting what we do, you can join us on Patreon. There is a lot of awesome perks for you to get. In the meantime, both Laura and I know Laura's not here, but both Laura and I are wishing you a fantastic day. Keep traveling awesome. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.